will call this meeting, Buena Vista Township, regular meeting, December 28th, 2020. Call to order, Lisa.
Mr. Martinelli,
Here.
Mr. Bernard,
Here.
Mr. Turner,
Here.
Mr. Williams,
Here.
Mayor Kelly.
Here. On January 2nd, 2020, notice of this meeting was mailed to the Daily Journal and the press and posted in the main lobby of the municipal complex. All requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been met in compliance with the Sunshine Law. Okay, we will now salute the flag. Mr. Turner, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lisa, you want to go over the approval of minutes?
Thank you, Mayor. There are 4 sets of minutes for approval this evening. The regular meeting, November 22nd, 2020. The executive meeting of 23rd, 2020. The executive meeting, November 23rd, 2020. Regular meeting of December 14th, 2020, and executive meeting of December 14th, 2020. All members were present.
Motion to approve the minutes is read into the record.
Second.
All in favor, or roll call?
Martinelli,
Yes.
Renard,
Aye.
Turner,
yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Item 5, announcements, presentations, and discussions. I'll defer to Ms. Tilton for some disposition.
Thank you, committeemen. Just wanted to make an announcement that our annual reorganization meeting will be held on Monday, January 4th, 2021 at 7 p.m. It will be held here at the municipal complex within our committee chambers here. If anybody has any questions, you can give us a call. It will be an in-person meeting with social distancing seating provided. Face masks will be required to be worn. Thank you.
Item 6, Mayor Kelly, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm going to wait and give my report at the end tonight, and so I'll do the meeting first and then give a report at the end.
Item 7, ordinances for introduction, first reading, there being none. I'll move to item 8, ordinances for public hearing, second reading, 89-2020, amending the Township Code, Chapter 36, Personnel Policies, 95-2020, authorize the sale of public land. I'll throw the dice with this one. It's either Lisa or Dominic.
Thank you, Committeeman. Dominic, do you want to do 89?
Sure. Ordinance 89-2020 is amending 3 sections of our Chapter 36 of the Code. That's our personnel policies chapter of our code. We're looking to amend 36-1, part of 36-10, and 36-14. And the reason so was Lisa and I went back and we were looking to make sure that our Chapter 36 personnel policies was consistent with our personnel policies manual that all the employees go by. So we found just a few inconsistencies in terms of dates and times and stuff like that, and a little bit of the processes. So to make them consistent, we then made the changes, these proposed changes in this ordinance. So it's just those 3 sections of Chapter 36 we're looking to amend.
Thank you, Dominic. And ordinance 95-2020 is authorizing the sale of public land. This is property that is located on Keynes Mill Road. Block is listed as 108, Lot 8. Minimum bid, if approved this evening, would be $1,000, and the sale, if approved this evening, would be conducted on January 11th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Okay, so we need a motion to open to the public on these ordinances.
Moved.
We need to do one at a time, Mayor, if we could. So.
Okay, so right now we'll open to the public on ordinance 89-2020, amending the Township Code. So we had a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anyone from the public wish to speak or ask a question on this ordinance at this time? Okay, I'm seeing none. Motion to close.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor, roll call.
Martinelli,
Yes.
Renart,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes. Okay, now we need a motion to adopt ordinance 89, 2020.
Moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for adoption.
Martinelli,
Yes.
Renart,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes. Okay, next for ordinance 95, 2020, for the sale of public land. Let's have a motion open to the public for a public hearing on this one.
Motion to open to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anyone from the public wish to ask a question on this at this time? Okay, motion to close.
Motion to close?
Second.
Okay, then a roll call for this ordinance.
Martinelli,
Yes.
Renart,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Item 9, public comment on current agenda items only. In order for the committee to conduct the business of the township in the most productive manner possible, meeting attendees will be given 2 minutes, all inclusive, to comment on any agenda item or items without comment or question from the committee, but only on items specified on the agenda listed for the current meeting. Please stand at the microphone at the appropriate time, state your name and address for the record. Item 10, resolutions, there being none, I'll move to item 11, consent agenda. Consent agenda includes items of business which are not controversial and do not require individual discussion. A motion approving the consent agenda is moved, seconded, and voted upon as one item by the Township Committee. If any discussion is requested on a consent agenda item, it is removed from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. Resolutions 209-20, award bid for installation of wall mount replacement air conditioner / heaters at the Dr. Martin Luther King Center to Falaska Mechanical. 210-20, authorizing compensation payout to the estate of Charles Hendrickson. 2011-20, authorize issuance of limo driver and owner license to Carmen Wayman Charles. 212-20, authorize the township clerk to issue the annual operating licenses. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I think we need a motion open to the public on any of the agenda items.
Moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At this time, if anyone from the public have a question on any of the agenda items that we just read, this would be the time. Seeing none, motion to close.
Moved.
Second, we need a second.
Second.
Second?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we would get a motion to adopt resolutions 209 to 212-20.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Lisa, roll call?
Martinelli,
Yes.
Renart,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes. Okay, Lisa, you want to give your report next?
Thank you, Mayor. Just have a couple things. One, I just wanted to announce that was delivered to everybody's home right before Christmas was our 2021 Buena Vista Township calendar and scrapbook. Everybody had one delivered to their homes. If for any reason you did not receive one, just give our Township Clerk's office a call at 856-697-2100 extension 1, and we will make sure that you get one directly to your home. Or we will have them here available at the municipal complex as well. It's definitely was a lot of work that was put into it by Special Events, so I just want to thank Special Events Committee for putting this together for this year. Within that calendar as well was our 2021 Annual Collection Services ACOA calendar. Just wanted to make sure everybody please take a look at it. There are some changes to the back regarding what cannot be recycled. ACOA as well as other facilities have changed what they can or cannot collect for recycling material. So it's a great brochure and it's a great reminder for what you can or can't do and also how to dispose properly of those items. And last but not least, our used clothing drop-off is now open. It's back open at the
Good.
Public Works Building. So if you have any clothing, or I think they also take blankets, some type of fabric, sheets, pillowcases, drapes, as well as stuffed toys, if you want to drop them off, the bin is located right outside Public Works, 430 Union Road. It is secured. It gets emptied once a week. So if you have any questions, you can also give the township a call on that. And just want to wish everybody a very happy new year. We know we have another storm that's coming through. Just want to thank our Public Works Director and our supervisor who worked through the holiday to be able to help clear trees out from the Christmas Eve storm that came through. I know it was a very damaging storm. The township had some damage as well to some of our facilities. So just want everybody to stay safe and have a happy new year. Thank you.
And Lisa, the electric company reported we had about 30 people without electric, but you said there was probably more than that.
When I spoke to Atlantic City Electric last night, actually, we conversed via telephone last night to kind of go over some of the damage that happened throughout the township, as well as some homes that were out for several days. I know Country Club was one of the hardest hits. They had a huge tree that came down and went across the road that was there, and Atlantic City Electric had to clear it because we couldn't touch it. But as of yesterday afternoon, when we checked on it, it was cleared from that area. So definitely had a lot of damage that came down. I'm sure it probably could have been worse, but we'll prepare for what we're anticipating. Again, will be another storm coming in on New Year's Eve.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And thank you and the staff, an excellent job on the calendar this year, as always. So we appreciate all the work on that. Okay, next we'll have our committee reports. Steve Martinelli?
Thank you, Mayor Kelly. Normally, the last meeting of the fiscal year, before the beginning of a new year, I just basically say, or wish everyone a safe and happy new year. I get the Atlantic City Press every Sunday morning. It's the only time I get it. And Sunday morning, there's an article in there, and I would implore anybody that gets the press to read the article, and it's about the COVID-19 right here in South Jersey, Atlantic County. Buena Vista Township is one of the places, the deaths that are involved. I've said this before, other committee personnel have said it. This is real. This is a real virus. It's taken friends of mine. It's probably taken friends of yours. And it will probably continue to take our friends until we get it under control. I would just suggest that you read that article. I'm not somebody that reads from a script or regurgitates information. I usually pass on what I know to the people and let them do their own investigating. The first thing I did at daylight on Sunday morning was I got in my car and I drove around East Vineland and Richland, and I was looking for the damage. That storm was no joke either. That storm took down, it did a lot of damage. Lisa didn't talk about it tonight, but it took down a big electric pole in Michael Debbie Park. Start to finish, that pole and the replacement of that pole is probably going to cost us about $5 grand, at least that much, and I'm not sure if that includes labor. So we did not walk away from this storm unscathed, but all in all, I guess it could have been a lot worse. Hopefully this storm, New Year's Eve, is just a lot of rain with some minor wind, and we get through it without a lot of problem. With all that being said, I wish everybody a very safe, a very happy and healthy 2021. Let's get rid of this. Let's get through this virus safely and effectively. Hope that these vaccines come into fruition right quick here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Next we'll have Mr. Renard, if you have anything.
No, not really.
Okay, it's up to you.
No, just to reiterate that I hope everybody has a better new year than this last year. And that's basically it.
Okay, thank
I
you.
didn't do any committee stuff yet.
Well, you're pretty new, so we'll give you some time. Okay, Mr. David Turner, this will be your last meeting,
My last
so we
meeting,
want to
yeah.
thank you for that.
After 3 years, as it's the 31st at midnight. I can say it's been a good ride. I'm not a politician, never wanted to be. I've been around politics all my life, working for a county and municipal government, knowing people, up the ladder. This has been a good 3 years. We got a lot accomplished, came through a lot of things. We lost my dear friend Chuck Cirillo about a year ago. He was the one that taught me in the running, because I moved out to Buena Vista to retire after 33 years of, working 2 jobs and being lambasted, being a public works director in Pleasantville, taking a lot of heat all the time. But the people you see up here do their job well. Our administrator, clerk, does her job well. The 2 gentlemen coming in, they will do the job well because they didn't run just to be running, they ran to take care of this town. And that's all I ever ask anyone, take care of the people, okay, take care of the people. This is not a glorified job. This is not a job that, you say, oh, look at me. This is taking care of people and everything. And that's all I ask anybody to do, take care of the people. I can't say I'm gonna miss it. In that vein, what I'm going to miss is the people, okay? The people. Because like you said, I miss people and interacting with them. But, like I said, I didn't, as soon as they found out that when, I lost my election, I got a call, said, hey, we got a job for you. I said, oh, Lord, here we go. So one of my friends needed me, and so I'm actually working, doing some things for them, okay? May God bless Mr. Renard and Mr. Ruggieri. I'm a type of person, I'm actually a very kind-hearted person, but every once in a while, my wife would tell you I get out in the left field sometime. And any time I have did anything to anybody to, like I wasn't a gentleman, okay, I really apologize to them. Because, like I said, anytime you need me or you want to know something, call me, okay? Call me up there, but you guys will be fine, okay? May God bless you, Mayor. It's been a pleasure, my friend. John, Mr. Martinelli, Lisa, you're the best in the state. And I don't say that lightly. She is one of the best in this state of New Jersey. We're very, very blessed. May God bless you guys there. Take care.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Mr. Turner, stand, please. Thank you very much for your service. Appreciate your service, thank you.
Yeah, I know you worked hard, Mr. Turner, with all the projects and keeping us informed of situations we didn't know, and we appreciate all that you have done. So thank you again for the past 3 years.
Been my pleasure.
All right, Mr. Williams, our deputy mayor.
Yes, I also wanted to thank David for his service. He was instrumental in getting much-needed equipment and trucks for the Public Works Department. And a couple of year or two ago, he went down and inspected the equipment, and the tires were in bad shape, so he reported that back to us, and then we started looking at getting some new updated equipment. And we've been doing that in the past 2 years. Also, I attended the meeting for the zoning board on December 17th, and at that meeting, the Imaji LLC 18 lots were approved for development as part of Phase 3 development. Phase 2 was donated to the township, and Phase 1 was from two existing lots that were already had houses on them. These lots were also approved with a basin that was required. So that was the end of that final approval. Also on December 23rd, that was December 17th was a in-person meeting. On December 23rd, we had a meeting for a virtual meeting, and at that meeting, Milne Dollar General was approved, LLC, on 1168 Tuckerow Road. Block 8416, lots 2 and 3. That was approved, so we're waiting for that's going to be developed into a Dollar General. And also, there was much discussion on that for approximately 2 hours, so there is going to be some requirements for making a left turn into that facility. Also, on the 23rd, I helped with the meals at the Martin Luther King Center. We're handing out the Christmas meals. We approximately handed out about 80 to 90 meals, and also some pies 50 pies were handed to each family. I enjoyed doing that, and also Mayor Teresa Kelly assisted us, and there was a few volunteers that came from one from the environmental and one from the community helped us. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
And also I wanted to wish everybody a happy New Year, and I hope you had a joyous Christmas, and let's hope that this new year coming up is the handling of the COVID virus, that we eliminate it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that report, and I guess now that I'll give my report that at the end, and then we can open to the public. This year, we have survived the pandemic here in Buena Vista Township. Thanks to our excellent staff, we did everything by the CDC and the state guidelines and directives. There was a lot of work done to have barriers between the offices. The town hall is still closed, but we do service people outside, and we do not prevent anything from happening. So we're happy about that. It's been a very difficult year. Early in the year, we did not have enough gowns, masks, and those kinds of things. So Lisa and I were on the phone calling different people, the state, the Congress, everyone. And in the end, we did get help from Congressman Van Drew, who did give some equipment to us. Also, the state, through the county, gave equipment, and we were able to get some of that equipment when we couldn't find it anywhere at that point. And this was early in the year when equipment was in short supply, so we're thankful we did get through that, and those things have been improved. The King Center will finally get their heating and air upgrade, which we approved tonight. That's been at least a 4 or 5 year grant that was saved up to pay for most of it, and that will be done this year. At the King Center, they also had a health fair this year. Meals for Veterans were giving out, and to the community, and they also have their food bank that is twice a month, and that continues to happen. Quentin was also able to get a grant to expand the food bank pantry there and to increase equipment so that we can hold on to more of it. So that was a nice thing too. I want to congratulate Kim and Joe Capuccio, recently moved to our township in the country club area and were recently married yesterday. So I wanted to give a shout out to them. For the pickleball, which is becoming very popular in this state, we are looking in the spring to convert a couple courts, which is just a lining of our tennis courts so that people can play pickleball on those courts also. I think we're going to do one in Collins Lakes and Michael Debby Park. Newtonville already has one, which is very good. It's getting very popular. Some of the road constructions, Chestnut Avenue, Phase 1 and 2, will be starting soon. Right now, they're working on the drainage part of that. We also have made an agreement with Atlantic County to do the 5 Points intersection, which has been finished. We had one road, the county had most of the roads, and so that was completed. And that one was a fast project. We talked to them this year, and they were able to finish it before the year was end, so we're happy about that. This year, we're going to be contracting with the Hamilton courts, and we're going to have our courts there instead of Hamilton Township, where it has been for the last few years. And we will be saving $30,000 by going to Hamilton. Right now, the county is looking at a grant to study municipal courts to see if they can help or do anything in the future, which would be in the Mays Landing area. So they're just starting to look at that. We have our EMS, Buena Vista Township, and with the township and fire companies helping, it is a sustainable one, and we're happy about that. That was a big project that we never knew what would happen, and now we're happy it's there, and all our residents are too. Construction of our Public Works building, which has been in the planning since 2016, has started already, and this is from USDA funding, which is a low-cost 30-year loan to help pay for it. It's an upgrade of this building so we can keep all of the equipment inside and improve the facilities. Our business report, Wilmette Glass is going to be opening again. They're going to have about 30 employees there, and they're going to assemble industrial thermometers and hydrometers and then store and ship them as final products. So that is happening now and might have already started. John mentioned the Dollar General was recently approved at our planning board meeting just last week. So we're happy about that, and that'll help that area and help with our ratables. To mention other businesses, Comar and Serpro are looking for people, looking for workers. I saw their signs are still out. So if anybody is looking for a job, they have some openings. And this year we want to thank some of our companies that provided donations for their food and the toys for our Christmas holiday. Intelligent Incorporated, and we want to thank Ruth Vasquez and Kate Volpe, who works there and have helped get that going. Kate Volpe, if you remember, was the past Miss Buena Vista and a volunteer, so she works there now at Intelligent and is coordinating efforts there to help us. The ACUA did some toys, and we're happy about that. Dollar General in Galloway, I understand, donated some toys. Games from Jersey Family Fun Facebook page, Winning Moves Games USA. A student at the Pratt delivered that to us, and that was helpful. It gave us extra toys. I didn't get their names, but we thank them for that. Our EMS staff and Beth Conway helped deliver individual gifts, toys to all our residents that requested them right to their doors this year because we couldn't have anything here in the building. So I want to thank all the staff, Lisa and Gia, who coordinated it, Beth, who did it, our EMS volunteers that helped deliver. And let's see, I just have one more thing. It was supposed to be a short meeting. I only have one more minute. We had a lot of deaths this year, and I just want to mention some of them that happened in the last couple of months that were not mentioned earlier. Recently, and his funeral was today, Thomas Passarella, who had passed away from Collings Lakes. Walter Luff also passed away from Collings Lakes. Sandy Jacoby, another one that passed away in November. Carmen Lopez from Richland in November. Carlo Di Tomasi, who has the 5 points, he passed away November 27th. And Mr. Dominic Battolini was 92, but he has helped our town in many ways. I know he helped Mayor Chuck Cirillo with the train project, moving buildings, and it was, we were very appreciative. And Deborah Stalling, who used to be our former director of the King Center. In fact, she's my age. She just recently passed away. And also our employee Chuck Henderson, who passed away on the job recently also. So this was the report I wanted to give, a little summary of everything. And that's how our year went, and we hope it's a better year next year. And that's all I have for my report. So I guess now, Steve, you want to open to the public?
The committee welcomes participation of interested organizations and individuals during regular caucus workshop and special meetings. However, in order to conduct the business of the township in the most productive manner possible, attendees will be given 4 minutes all inclusive, including all dialogue, questions, and responses from both the speaker and the committee for the designated public portion of the meeting. There may be no transference of a speaker's time to other attendees. Please stand at the microphone at the appropriate time. State your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Okay, motion to open to the public?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is the time if anybody in the public would like to come up, introduce themselves, and say anything or ask a question. This would be your time now.
Madam Mayor, I'm Gordon Payne. I'm in Collins Lake, 107 West Beach. I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing with these leaves. What are we doing? We've missed dates. Nothing's being picked up. Collins Lake is full of leaves.
No, Lisa, I believe they have finished
They
Collins
made
Lakes, or
one
let me
run
check.
and haven't been back.
So we made the first run due to the holiday, and obviously, we are unfortunately very low on staff. We are less than half what we basically came into in the month of November, with an unfortunate death and some resignations in the public works. We hope to get back to it by the new year to be able to finish up that last round in Collins Lakes. I know we did multiple rounds specifically down Kane's Mill to make sure that there was no flooding and make sure all the leaves are off the drains in that area. We did finish up the rest of the township with their second round, but we do owe Collins Lakes that last round to come back through, and we hope in the new year to be able to be out there and finish that. So we apologize for the delay. Unfortunately, we were very
Right.
extremely low staff. It does take 5 guys to run the lead back, because you have to have 2 spotters, 2 guys on there, and a driver. So with the low volume of staff, unfortunately, it made it a little bit difficult to navigate through that.
But you do have a game plan to come back soon.
Oh, absolutely. We will not forget about you guys.
Okay.
We will be back.
The other thing I have, recycling is a big thing around New Jersey. How is it that on Christmas Eve, when they picked up all the refuse, they dumped the recycle into the same vehicle? I watched them do it,
I have an answer to that.
okay?
You did?
I
Okay,
do.
good, because
So I did reach out to the ACUA. We did have some concerns that came into the township. Apparently, they have dual trucks right now that actually take 1/2 trash, 1/2 recycling, so that way they can do the pass at the same time. They dump your trash in the one side.
It makes sense, but,
And then they have recycling in the other, so that
Right.
way it's
Oh, okay.
basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
I hate to say it that way, but
Okay.
it is a little discerning because
We-
you say,
yeah,
I
we
do
didn't
all
know."
this work to recycle and clean out
Yeah.
my plastics,
Exactly.
and they just dumped it all in the trash truck.
Yeah.
But I agree. The township, I don't have a problem putting something out just to let the
Yeah.
public know that they do
Yeah.
now have dual service trucks. So if for any reason somebody has a concern, they can call, but I did reach out to the ACUA last week.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. That's all.
Sir, they do have dual service trucks. Their contractor for recycling is Republic. And they just got these dual service trucks starting in our township, so.
That's good.
Looks
That's
weird, but it works.
makes
Okay,
sense.
thank you.
Well, thanks, Mr. Payne. So
Thank you.
luckily, I didn't know that we were not finished, so I did see one street, but I didn't look all over, so,
Yeah, there's a lot of the lakes
Yeah.
not finished.
Our street's not finished.
really? Okay. That's on the west side, okay. All right, thanks, Mr. Payne. Anybody else have a question?
My name is Robert Blair, I live at 206 Don Road. I was at the last meeting, we asked questions about the houses they're building on the Norman in the back there. Half the questions weren't answered. Okay, either didn't have an answer for them, or wasn't time to answer them at that time.
Well, what was the questions that were not answered for you,
Well,
Mr.
the
Blair?
one, how many low-income houses are they putting back there?
Well, that we have no idea. We don't even know if they're going to be low income, so we would have no control over that. It would be whoever's building the houses and who they're selling, but we do not control that. We can only approve that the land that they will be put on, so we would not know that. So they couldn't answer that either. If they're getting approval and someone else is gonna build, or they're gonna sell the lots to have it built, we still would not know that.
Well, then I asked the price range of the houses. You
Well, we
couldn't
don't know that at this time.
Well, Then on the sewage, that was a question I had asked, but they didn't, somebody had said about bedrooms, how many bedrooms are these houses gonna have?
Like I said, we do not know anything about the houses. This was for approval of houses, but until whoever's gonna be selling them is gonna, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but that's beyond us.
So
We can only give the
nothing's-
approval for the land.
Nothing's approved as far as
Well, this
building,
is just the land,
just building the houses, there's
just
nothing
the building.
approved.
Yeah, the houses would be a separate
And they're
thing.
still gonna be on one
They,
acre.
the person that got all these could even sell it to whoever's gonna be doing the housing. I
Oh.
mean, there's different ways, but they don't have to tell us that. They're just going for approval that they
I've
can
been-
build a house
I've been through
there.
this before, and it's different towns, but, and on the owner of that property back there said they were donating 236 acres to the township,
Yes, they did.
and it's gonna be wetlands. Why are we taking wetlands and paying for wetlands? I mean, it's useless property.
Well,
Can't do nothing
we're
with
not
it.
paying, they're donating it, so we're not buying
But he's using that
anything.
property, he's building a house on 1 acres, right? And he said that the other comes from the land that was donated. How can he use, he said that they would still be built on 3.2 acres. I don't, how can you donate
Okay.
something and then still use it as building
Go
property?
ahead, Lisa, with the Pinelands.
So the Pinelands puts a requirement for cluster development. Part of that requirement for cluster development is they have to be able to preserve a certain amount of acreage. The restriction that the Pinelands put on them to preserve was the total amount of acreage would either have to be put into an open space trust to either like a Green Acres Trust Fund, the homeowners association, or they can donate it to a governmental entity. That was completely at the option of the developer, which avenue they wished to take. They took the avenue to develop that property to the township. The township will continue to hold that property as open space, non-developable, cannot be subdivided for that specific purpose of that development. In aggregate, each property, because of the open space property that was donated, will essentially have 3.2 acres, but they're only restricted to be able to build on that acre or acre and a half or 2 acre lot, whatever that subdivision was approved for. So essentially, somebody who would have 3.2 acres, they may be able to develop the whole 3.2 acres. This development was more restrictive to only develop on what they were able to subdivide, and the rest had to be put aside for complete open space development.
I still don't, I don't understand why we took property, why did we get property, they donated. It's useless, and we're gonna maintain that property, trash is dumped on it, and,
Well, it's gonna be
What-
open space, so there's nothing to really maintain. It would be the
Well,
forest and all the.
you know, as far as I know, they see woods, they're gonna dump trash there.
Well, that,
So,
we can't,
now we gotta pay the township guys to clean that
well,
property up.
we are just using a future thing that may not even happen. I mean, people are dumping trash all over the town, so I mean, we can't even prevent that sometimes, so. you know,
I
we
understand
can't.
that, but why take on more?
No, we already have that open space, really. I mean, the space is still there, so people could still dump on it now if they wanted to. I mean,
Yeah,
so,
but, well, this guy's getting out of paying taxes on that property.
If
Right?
he donated it to an open space trust, we would lose taxes regardless. So regardless of
true.
the entity in which he would have donated it to, that property most likely would have been tax exempt. So whether it's in the township coffers to be able to hold as an open space, which the township down the road may be able to utilize to offset any of our open space requirements with the state of New Jersey through Green Acres, it's a little bit more beneficial for the township to take it on, which will allow us to continue down the road for things that we may be able to do with parks and open space and recreation. But if it was put into open space trust through the state of New Jersey through Green Trust, it's owned by the state, it would be tax exempt.
All right. When I attended the meeting in 2013, and the same owner, he said that he was building houses, if I recollect right, was going to build houses from 275 to 350,000, and this time, you don't know how much, what size house
I
he's
mean,
going to build? Or
it's not a requirement of the board to ask, nor is it a requirement of the developer to provide that information. They come in for subdivision of land. It's up to them after that point to be able to get permits for septic approvals through those jurisdictions, which is Atlantic County, Health Department, as well as Pinelands approval. They are not within the jurisdiction of the township, including the building of the home. He would have to build them between UCC standards, which is the Uniform Construction Code. They're all things that he would have to abide by, which is outside the township anyway. So he just comes in for subdivision of land. That's permissible for anybody who has property, and that's what was approved essentially, was the subdivision of land.
Well, what's your definition of low-income housing, by the way, or Section 8, or whatever you're saying?
Well, anybody at a certain income,
And what would that be?
well, I don't know.
So you're asking a question, but you don't really know, and so we don't know either, but,
Yeah, but I know one answer. You don't know any answers. You can't give me any answers on
Well,
anything.
they're not answers we're able to provide because they're not questions that we're privy to even ask as part of the approval process. So, unfortunately, they're not answers that we can provide, or it's either answers that the developer may be able to provide. This development's been going on since my understanding, I think 2006, and we're 14 years down the road, and he still hasn't built a house yet. So, we don't know when those houses will be built. We do know at this point that that subdivision is approved, and it's up to the developer whether he develops it or sells it or just leaves it the way that it is with an approved subdivision. But that's completely at the purview of the landowner. I mean, and as far as Buena Vista Township, so low, moderate income, we are required to do a housing element as part of our master plan. And low, moderate income for Buena Vista Township ranges roughly within the 50,000 range. So that's pretty much a study that's done through the state of New Jersey through housing. And roughly for Buena Vista, we're roughly about 50,000 for low, moderate income housing, just to throw that out there for that range that it's classified as.
and I don't think we have many houses with that cost that I'm
No, in fact, we have a
determining.
zero obligation, as it pertains to low, moderate income housing, through the state of New Jersey for that. So we do not have an obligation for it. We do have an obligation to collect, affordable housing, which goes towards rehabbing of homes. But we don't have an obligation that was set upon us through the state to require
That's
a
true.
developer to have to build moderate or low income housing. So without that obligation, it's up to the developer if he develops it, but there's not an obligation for the township to put on the developer to say a percentage of this development has to be low and moderate income.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Angela Queen. I live at 619 Weymouth Road. My property, if you look at that map, is actually being like cut off. I will mention that I am a real estate agent, so I'm very familiar with septic systems and how that works. The piece right next to my property is an acre, not even. It's very shy of that. You're not able to put a septic system on something less than 1 acre. They're placing 3 houses on that little tiny piece next to my home, behind my home. So it's literally like a little boomerang almost, right around my house. I don't understand how this passed. Another thing, I never received notice. The attorney said last week that I received notice. I never got legal notification, not once. I'm born and raised in Buena. I'm a part of the town. I do a lot of things with this town. And as far as the trash pickup that was just mentioned, behind my house, it does. People throw trash out there all the time. We take our legal golf cart, we ride around, we pick up the trash, we clean it up. We know this town. We want a lot for this town. And unfortunately, with everything that's happening, it's gonna change the dynamic of our town. I feel like we're already like past the point because we weren't notified and I didn't get the chance to do my own research and talk to my real estate attorneys that I work with in my office. But this is really gonna affect our kids in school. My son's, we have to copy his books for school because there isn't even enough. If we add these houses, who knows what it's gonna do to our teachers and the amount of money that we need to come up with, and it's gonna affect a lot of things. So I'm asking you guys, I know that there's not a lot that you guys know because there's so much that you have to be told in order to pass things, but what can we do as residents? Like, what are our options here? Are we totally like dead in the water with this? Like, we have no choice? It's gonna build, my entire behind my house is gonna be a cul-de-sac. They're putting, they're putting all kinds of stuff back there, and it's just, breaks my heart, honestly. Like, I feel like all of us with these acres and we all try and take care of our land back there. I just don't understand how they're gonna put these septic systems there on a 1 acre lot. It's not doable. I deal with home business every single day.
Well, I think there are certain septic, they got approval from the Pineland special, they weren't special, they were certain septics, they said. And
Unfortunately, there
so,
isn't a special septic. That's not
so
accurate.
the Pinelands is the one that tells them what they can do. So,
Right.
I mean, whatever's on the plans, I don't know if it's that specific on there.
Okay.
But we can get your name and address if you weren't notified and check on
I
that
wasn't.
because,
We
So
got
if
the
you-
little
if you wanna
letter.
Yeah, if you wanna call me tomorrow.
Yeah, I will.
I have all the noticing, so as long as they make notice, which means as long as they mail it.
And they publicly
certified
put it in a
mail.
paper too, right?
What's that?
And they put it in the paper.
That's correct.
That's what
So,
the attorney
yeah,
said.
and I don't mean to get all legal on you, I'll throw the
Right.
legalese in there, but as long as they make notice and they show that they mailed the certified, it's stamped by the post office. Whether or not you received it or got the green card or signed for it, or it's still at the post office, or got notice from the
Yeah.
post office to indicate that you had certified mail,
Mhm.
they have an obligation to make notice.
Okay.
For that. Unfortunately, it's a planning board decision, it's autonomous from this governing body that is here today.
Right.
You know, there are, certain appeal rights and positions that you could do regarding that application on a planning board end, separate from the governing body, but that is at your purview.
Right.
There is a certain time frame for that, so I would just say you would have to consult your legal counsel regarding that.
Okay.
But as far as the septics, again, the Pineland sets forth the requirements in their comprehensive management plan that says what somebody can or cannot develop on any of their property in the
Right.
Pinelands area. And it is unfortunate because you do look at it as, you have this piece of property, you were required to build on 3.2 acres, and somebody's coming in with, you know, a less than an acre property and they're able to do it, so.
And they're, and
I guess
honestly,
I
it's
understand
even,
the frustration.
like, I know this is like a side, like, well,
yeah.
my kids ride their little four-wheelers out back on our trail. This is like, it's safe zone, you know what I mean? And when we're building this up like this, it's changing our BVT. And that like literally kills me. And I know everybody else that's in this room feels that same way. And I just wanna make sure you guys know, anything that I can do to make sure that we keep it as minimal as possible, I will do. Like I said, I work with attorneys. If we have to get together as a whole entire township and get money together and do what we can do to make this not happen in this form, you know what I mean? I feel like we're losing here, and we're losing our small town Buena, and that's a shame to me. But I do appreciate everything that you guys do, and as far as the trash pickup, like I said, we're always on that. I can't stand that.
Well, we
So,
appreciate that.
I am
In
definitely
fact,
on
you
that.
should sign up for the Clean Communities
I will actually
cleanup
consider that, absolutely.
because you're doing it anyway. So I think you only need 10 people to do it.
Yes, so, thank you guys, I
But with that-
appreciate
But
it.
thank you for that,
you.
and we'll be in touch.
Call me tomorrow.
Call you tomorrow, thank you.
All right, does anyone else have anything to say from the public?
Good evening, Julie Akers, 175 9th Street. First of all, I'd like to say it's really nice to see a transition from, from our retiring committee people to the new people, and I wish our federal government could see the same way. So I appreciate that in the town. And thank you for your service, and look forward to working with you too, Mr. Renard. My comments, a couple of things, and after hearing some of the people talking about the upcoming development that was approved on December 17th by the Planning Board regarding Mr. Mendelssohn's application, there were a lot of questions that were brought up, and this gentleman asked a lot of questions which I understand you can't answer. However, there are some things that were kind of left unanswered, which I believe are under the purview of the committee. And one of them is the homeowners association. A homeowners association which is going to be responsible for those stormwater basins. Right now, there's going to be one stormwater basin. How many homes will be developed? Teresa, you mentioned, since 2006, not one house has been built. If one house is built, technically there should be a homeowners association. Do we have an ordinance for homeowners associations?
So part of the requirement through the planning board is to have a homeowners association. The township doesn't get involved until after those documents are presented, approved, and then they're actually recorded. And then if there's a deficiency at that point, as the engineer had indicated, at that point, the township can then rectify any situations by going after the homeowners association or assessing the properties at that time if for some reason they're not complying. They haven't presented any homeowners association documents yet. They're still within their compliance stage for their final approval. So I don't have them even if you requested them. But I'm sure once they're in and approved and signed by the developer to be presented as part of his approval, definitely reach out to me. I can get you a copy.
Okay, well, I guess the question is, I do know that if you search the E-Code 360, there are mentions of homeowners association in there. Do we have any guidelines for that? So as far as I know, unless things have really changed, these plans have changed multiple times, the homeowners association was going to be responsible for these 1-acre lots, about 52% of which could be developed with swales on the side. They were going to be responsible for people's personal property to make sure that those swales were maintained. Is there anything, I mean, to me, it should be not to wait for Mr. Mendelson to propose something. Don't we have any guidelines already? If we're going to be getting into that, you mentioned Emily Court with new homes starting to be built. That's an issue. If we as a town are going to have to take on the responsibility of maintaining stormwater basins, that's another cost to all the taxpayers that really should be the responsibility. And I would hate to say, like people in Collins Lakes, they get stuck with maintaining dams. That's like an exorbitant cost that you can't really expect. I'm not saying, okay, if you're the one homeowner out there, you know, off of 9th Street, that you're responsible for the upkeep of that basin. That's ridiculous. That's an outrageous price. That's not fair. So the same thing with people in Collins Lakes. So to me, it should be, there should be something else. Otherwise, the town, we are looking, by approving that subdivision, we are looking on taking a lot more cost that we have to provide for. Not just the cost of school kids, but also the cost of maintaining the roads. And one of the big issues I brought up was about 9th Street, an unimproved dirt road that Dave Scheidegg said many, many years ago would not be developed, would not be improved, primarily because it's not an existing, doesn't have an existing base already. It would take a monumental amount of money to build it. All the roads that we do now, they rebuild the roads, and that costs a ton of money. How many years did it take to do Weymouth Road? 6 years?
Since I've been here. I think
Okay,
it
so
took
it's taken,
6
they only
phases.
go a few thousand feet, and it costs a lot of money. So they wouldn't be able to do 9th Street. 9th Street is not a safe road now. And we got our approvals to build out there 1985. So it's been a long time, and we had to say, okay, we don't get, mail delivery, we don't have streetlights, we don't have any of that, and we said we really like living out here. That's not a problem. There's 3 residents out there now. So that's going to be a big problem that I'm sure the residents in this new development, we're going to come in and say, you've created a dangerous situation. So Township, you're responsible for fixing that. And it's not just us who use that road. That's like the main road that cuts through between Jackson Road and Weymouth Road. So these are things I think to consider. There's a lot of things that the planning board can say aren't under their purview. However, some towns have really gone after the Pinelands Commission with their clustering ordinance. And they've made it as strict as possible. So if you've got a developer coming in, they've got to really cross their T's and dot their I's. And Mr. Mendelson is like write stuff on the back of napkins. I've communicated, my husband and I have communicated a lot with the Pinelands Commission. And we've done file searches up there, and you can see hand-scribbled things. Hey, why aren't you getting back to me? You need to respond to me. Is this the type of treatment I get? And he's got it hand-scribbled on a piece of lined paper. Now, come on. I did contact the Pinelands Commission after this last approval, and of course, they're working remotely, but I did get a call back, And the process is they will get the decision and resolution. They didn't know anything about the fact that he had donated additional land to the township. That whole Phase 3, poof, that's gone. So that is done. It eliminates an alternate road to get around 9th Street so those people aren't all stuck in that one area. They didn't know about that. Basically, what the individual said from Pinelands is, we will wait and see what we get from the planning board, and then we'll review that.
Who did
And
you
then they will
speak
call
to
that
at the
up.
Pinelands?
Excuse me?
Who did you speak to at the Pinelands?
Sieber, Fred Sieber.
Fred Seaver.
So he's
Because
the one who's
I spoke to Fred
on-
last week.
Excuse me?
I spoke to Fred last week.
Did he call you or you call him?
No, he called me.
And that's
and
probably
he-
because I called him.
Yeah, and he did say he was aware regarding the donation of land. He was
That's
waiting
because I
for-
told him.
For one, no, prior to, because that was part of their requirement was
No,
for
no, no, no,
donation
I'm
of
talking
property.
about the additional 50 acres on 10th Street, which were the Phase 3.
For the reduction of
Which is
lots.
not, that is not
That's
part of,
separate.
that's not part of the deed
No.
restricted areas.
That's not,
That was
that's
donated
separate.
to the township, and I think I've asked you for,
Yeah.
some understanding of why that was
Yeah.
donated.
That one was separate.
So that will reduce the amount of his total
development.
acreage for the development that bases that 3.2 acres, how many you could get in the total parcel of land. No, everything else, that's all deed restricted. I understand that. He was aware of that. That's why they gave that approval letter in January.
Yeah. They'll most
So
likely
anyway,
do
I
that.
don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but I think it's really important that I understand the difference between the planning board and what the committee can do. And I'm sorry, I'm like not breathing right here. But I do think that those are considerations. We can talk about, hey, this is the, what we're used to, this is the culture of our community. And I do understand it's really hard to come up with the money to pay for everything. And I know working with Carlo that there's issues with, if you don't have enough school children, you don't really have a school, district. It's hard to weigh that all. But I know when I served on the Environmental Commission many, many years ago, that was one of the issues that we brought up. And we had people come in who talked about the value of not having a whole lot of residents. That's not a bad thing to not have a whole lot of residents. If in fact that involves school children. And Teresa, everybody up here has really kind of said that. We've never said, oh, it's not good to have Dollar Generals or it's not good to have businesses, but to have a lot of residents is not necessarily something we should be clamoring for. And I do know Mr. Mendelson's got his rights, and he bought a lot of land, dirt cheap out there, so he's got his rights to develop it. But I think that in us looking at the future of our town, for people who've been here for a long time or people moving in, that's something that makes us really special in this area. So anyway, I thank you very much for listening, and I know it's not an easy spot to be as an elected official or anybody who's going to be doing any volunteering. So I appreciate that and appreciate you listening.
All right, thanks for your
Thank you.
comments, Julie.
Happy New Year. Be safe.
Okay, anybody else from the public at this time?
Mayor Kelly,
Yes, go ahead,
I'd
Steve.
just like to have a word.
Sure.
I've not heard the name Mendelson in probably a year and a half now. And I know napkin writers, they're not worth the salt that goes in a shaker. That's my humble opinion of him and that entire entourage that he represents. Yeah, I know the Planning and Zoning Board are autonomous of this governing body, I know that. But it seems like to me that we should be one and the same and that we should be communicating with each other. The young lady that stood up in here talking about 1 acres and septic systems, she's absolutely right. I don't know how that's going on, I don't know how it's even possible. Unless it was grandfathered in the way she's talking, these are new homes, and that's not grandfathered, that's something new. It doesn't meet the criteria that I understand about a septic system, and believe me, I put 4 of them in, so I know all about it. I'm a little bit disappointed that I can't answer that gentleman's questions tonight and that gentleman's questions there. I'm disappointed because I'm not privy to to the zoning and planning board. I think maybe I'm gonna have to start attending those meetings just to listen to what's going on, so that when I sit here, I'm not sitting here dumb, blind, and indifferent. I do care about the people of Buena Vista Township. They need to be represented by the governing body, and I don't care if the zoning and planning board is autonomous or not. We should be working together as a team. We don't need to have our township filled up with development and extra school children just so we have a school. That's not what this is about. This is about defending the residents that we have here, providing a decent education for the children that we do have, moving forward. Very plain and very simple. For the folks out here that asked the questions that couldn't be answered tonight, I apologize. I humbly apologize. I will do my due diligence tomorrow with Ms. Tilton, because I know that she's going to do hers, because that's the type of person she is. Once again, I apologize. Thank you for your time.
And just real quick, in '05, when me and Reverend Turner built our house on 6th, we still got land on 8th Street. They told us, because it wasn't 3.2, we had to put in a $37,000 septic system. I said, yeah, right. Okay. And that's when we found a lot on 6th Road now and everything. We moved out here from EHT. Okay, we lived in Pleasantville a long time. That's where I worked or whatever. And we moved out here because it was quiet. We retired. And I agree with everybody. You know, we don't need a whole bunch of foolishness from Mr. Mendelson. I know him. Been knowing him a long time.
Everybody knows.
Okay, and he's a dentist. And the rest of it, I'm gonna leave alone, okay? And like you say there, I just sit here and said, oh Lord, you know, this is a great place, okay? Great, you know. I go down 9th, 10th, out in the outskirts of this town, and people have some nice homes. They keep their properties up. I understand what you're saying there, you know, everything. So, you know, down the line, I'm going to keep my eyes on this, and that's all I'm going to say.
All right, anyone else from the public before we close? Okay, guess we'll go for a motion to close the meeting to the public.
Motion to close to the public.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we don't have an executive section tonight, so then an adjournment, then we can go for an adjournment of the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everyone. Good night, and we'll see you next year.
All right, God bless everybody. Take care. It's been a pleasure serving the BVT.